All things Mavs.
What's up, y'all? Welcome into All Things Mavs. I'm your host, as always, Jimmy Crowther, breaking down all the latest Dallas Mavericks news and Dallas Mavericks rumors. You guys know what we're talking about today. According to Brad Townsend of the Dallas Morning News, the Mavs are ready to trade anyone and everyone not named Luka Doncic or Kristaps Porzingis, and I want to dive a little bit deeper into this report. Now, one interesting note that Brad had on this report is that they're not set on saving that 2021 cap space when, of course, hashtag Giannis to Dallas will be all a go in 2021. But here's my thing with that, because yes, they might trade for players, and yes, they might even trade for players who have contracts that go past that season. But if a guy like a Giannis wants to play in Dallas in 2021, the Mavs will find a way to clear that cap space, and it's not really going to matter. So I'm not too worried about that. I know some people were a little freaked out about it, but at the end of the day, if the Mavs need to clear their cap, they're going to be able to clear it. Another note here is that they're willing to trade both their picks, number 18 and number 31, and I know some of y'all are like, well, what about the Stepien rule? They can't trade it until after draft night. No. They can trade it on draft night, or they can draft for somebody and basically trade to that team later on, so that does not apply. Now here's some more notes from Brad Townsend in his report. He said Dallas wants to acquire a third star, and if that takes adding other teams' unwanted salary, so be it. The Mavericks have a strong desire to trade into the lottery. The Mavs are in urgency mode. Now note how he says urgency, not panic. Big time difference there. Urgency means they want to make something happen. Panic would be we need to make something happen. Now you look at the players that could be on the move, and don't worry, I'm going to do a whole video where I break down each player more in depth about where they might get traded. But Tim Hardaway Jr. probably, honestly, prospect number one to get traded, third best scorer on this team. Seth Curry could be on the move. Dorian Finney-Smith, Dwight Powell coming off the Achilles injury, and of course Maxi Kleber. Those are really the top five guys in the rotation. Then you look at the back half of the rotation, the guys that could be traded. Jalen Brunson, I think, brings a lot of value when it comes to the trade table, because at the end of the day, he is still just a second-year guy, about to be a third-year guy. You got DeLon Wright, who didn't work out in the Mavs system, but I believe if he gets traded somewhere, it could work out in another system. Obviously, Boban, nobody wants him traded, but I at least had to include him because, yes, Brad said anyone, and he means anyone, could be on the move. Justin Jackson, the leader of Justin Jackson Island, could be on the move as well. And then Cauley-Stein, like Tim Hardaway Jr., he has a player option. Don't know what he's going to do with that, but I assume he's going to be back and then could get swapped. Now, of the 10 guys I just showed you, so the 10 Mavs that are under contract besides Luka and KP, I want you to name one of them that you do want traded. And I think there's two names here, right? It's DeLon Wright and Justin Jackson. I think those are the two guys that most people are like, okay, get rid of them, ship them off. And if it's one of those two guys, let me know in the comment section which one you actually do want traded. But I have a follow-up question here. Also, name one player you don't want traded. Luka and KP don't count because they're not going anywhere. So name one. And this is tough because I have three immediately that come to mind. Really, God, I don't want any of them traded because I love the chemistry on this team. But I really don't want to see Dorian Finney-Smith or Maxi Kleber go. I also don't want Boban to go, not for what he brings on the court so much, but more so because he's Luka's best friend. I also love Jalen Brunson. I don't know, guys. I'm just such a homer, and I love so many players, and I don't want them gone. However, if we're going to trade and get something that fills a need around Luka and KP, I'd be okay with it. Because you look at the needs that this team actually does need. They need defense. Their two best defenders are Maxi and Dorian Finney-Smith, and on most teams, they're just average defenders. They need secondary playmaking because besides Luka, it's Jalen Brunson, and if they bring back Trey Burke, those are your playmakers. You got to have three-point shooting. Tim Hardaway Jr. was really good. Seth Curry was really good, but I wouldn't call them elite. I'd call Seth Curry elite. Tim Hardaway Jr. was nearing an elite shooter, but you need more. Physical toughness. We already addressed this during the playoffs. You desperately need physical toughness on this team around Luka and KP. Maybe a Jay Crowder. And then there's rebounding. Probably your fifth of the five. It's kind of in order there. But you definitely need to add some rebounding. Now, the interesting thing about this report was that the Mavs want to trade into the lottery, which I didn't expect because I thought they'd want more win-now pieces, but I'm all for trading up into the lottery. Now, I don't think you're going to get into this top five. I don't think any of these five teams are going to trade for the Mavs because I don't think there's any Mavericks that any of these five teams really want that bad. But you get into 6 through 10, and I think there's some interesting teams. I think the Hawks would be willing to trade down and potentially out and get a player that helps them win now. I think the Knicks are in the similar boat. I think the Phoenix Suns are also in that boat. And then you get through the end of the lottery, and I think really, Boston is probably your best bet coming in at number 14 with their pick because they have 14. They also have the end of the first-round picks in the late 20s, and they also have an early second-round pick. I think the Boston Celtics at 14 would be one team that is definitely going to take calls on that pick. I think that's the one team that the Mavs could trade up to and say, hey, we can go out and get them. Now, let's say they do trade into the lottery. I think players like Sadiq Bey and Devin Vassell are guys you have to target. Patrick Williams out of Florida State would be an incredible candidate. Maybe you get high enough to get like an elite big man like a Kongwu, or I don't think you get high enough to get Wiseman because although I have a Kongwu above him, I do think Wiseman will get picked first. So one of those elite wings, I'll tell you the one guy that I'd really want, and you guys can let me know your one prospect that you'd want to trade up for. The one prospect that would be perfect on this Mavs team, Isaac Okoro out of Auburn. If you haven't done your homework on him, go check him out. Best defender in this draft. He would come in immediately and guard the best player on the other team for the Dallas Mavericks. He would probably be he could start right away or could take a year to develop off the bench. Not a great offensive player, although he finishes around the rim really well. But defensively, the dude does it all. Now, whoever the Mavs draft this year, you're going to want to get one of their brand new jerseys from Fanatics. Go to chatsports.com/Mavs jersey and pick one up today. You can get Luka, you can get KP, because for all we know, those are the only two that are actually staying on this team. Or you can get the guy that is always going to be a part of this team, Dirk Nowitzki. Now, let's say you do go and you get a Jalen Brunson jersey, and then Jalen Brunson gets traded. Well, guess what? Fanatics has jersey insurance to where they will replace that jersey for free if the player whose jersey you buy gets traded. So go check them out. One more time, that link is chatsports.com/Mavs jersey. Best place to go for all your Dallas Mavericks authentic Nike jerseys. Let's talk about Danilo Gallinari of the Oklahoma City Thunder. According to Brad Townsend, again of the Dallas Morning News, the Mavs and the Thunder had a deal in place to acquire Danilo Gallinari from the Oklahoma City Thunder. However, Gallo, who is a free agent this offseason, would not agree to an extension, and that meant he was gone. That meant he would not be traded to the Mavs, and the Mavs wanted to secure him, but Gallinari was like, no, I want to see what my worth is in free agency, so they decided not to trade for him, and now Gallinari is going to test his value in the open market. Now, Danilo Gallinari is an elite scorer, he's an elite three-point shooter, and he will definitely add a lot of value to this Mavericks team, or he would have at the trade deadline. But let me say this. Gallo addresses two of your needs. He gives you playmaking, and he gives you three-point shooting, because from the 4 spot, he is a very, very good playmaker, even from the 3 spot as well. But what he doesn't do, in fact, where he's almost a liability, is on the defensive end. So I would happily sign him this year. I would love to give him a few million. Honestly, I'd give him double-digit millions if you can you can dump some money off your books, which the Mavs are going to do regardless. I just am a little hesitant because offensive or defensively, I don't know where he fits on this team. I also don't know if he's a starter or a sixth man. But I love the idea of bringing Gallinari on board as an offensive weapon. So let me know what you guys think. Maybe you guys can sway me one way or the other because I'm kind of on the fence. Do you want Danilo Gallinari? Type your Y for yes. Type your N for no. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I don't know what you're doing. You've watched all this video so far, and I must be doing an okay job. So make sure you subscribe today at youtube.com/allthingsmavs. I'm trying to jump to 9,000 subscribers. We're only about 600 away from that, so help me get there today. Now, this was someone sent me this on Twitter, and you guys see that picture, and you're like, what am I looking at here? Those are allegedly, the new Dallas Mavericks City Edition jerseys. And I know they don't look that pretty on this screen. The gold is a little bit faded, but from an inside source, I've heard that these jerseys do not actually look like this. This gold is not accurate because the lighting in this photo is so terrible. I would say this gold is a little bit closer to a Real Madrid type gold. You see those uniforms that Luka Doncic used to wear, that's what you're actually going to be looking at. And if that's the case, if they actually turn out that nice, I actually can get behind these jerseys. They're different. Hear me out. You wear the gold across your chest, you got the white, you got the gold lining on the neck, and some dude's wearing all white sneakers, all white socks, all white iced out armbands. Hey, I think this could look pretty good. So I'm not going to judge fully until we get the full color on this jersey because this gold's not accurate, but you guys can make your judgment right now. Grade these jerseys, A, B, C, D, or F. I'm going to give them a B- based on these pictures, I'll give them a C+. Based on what I think they actually could be, I might jump up to a B+, maybe even an A- range. We've got some breaking news in here on All Things Mavs. Assistant, or I guess I should say former assistant coach for the Dallas Mavericks, Stephen Silas, has been hired to become the next head coach of the Houston Rockets. Now, Silas was with the Mavs since 2018, so not that long, but he's been there since Luka's been there, and he's been he is the son of longtime NBA head coach Paul Silas. Now, here's what Wojnarowski said sold the Houston Rockets on Silas. He says his offensive ingenuity, his pedigree with Rick Carlisle, Steve Clifford, and his father's Paul Silas. Silas has coached some remarkable guards in his NBA career, including Luka Doncic, Kemba Walker, Steph Curry, and now he gets to run the offense for Harden and Westbrook. Now, Stephen Silas is one of two assistants that has really been basically tried to be poached from the Dallas Mavericks. Jamal Mosley was the other assistant coach. Remember, Mosley has that really strong connection with Luka Doncic. So, although I'm sad to see Stephen Silas go, I am happy that it's not Jamal Mosley because I think Mosley has a little bit more of a deeper connection. But Silas now joins guys like Dwayne Casey and Terry Stotts as head coaches that have served as assistants under Rick Carlisle. So, congrats to Stephen Silas, but hey, you're a traitor now that you're in Houston.